For decades, the FBI's Most Wanted list has been a symbol of both fear and justice. Fear for the criminals bold or brutal enough to make it onto the list, and justice in the relentless pursuit that eventually brings many of them down. The list is not reserved for simple offenders or those who have made a single catastrophic mistake. It is reserved for the outliers, the individuals whose crimes are so severe, so persistent, and so threatening to public safety that they demand national attention. Among the many fugitives who have found their way onto this infamous list, few cases have unsettled investigators quite like the one involving a serial attacker who specifically targeted women across multiple states. Although the FBI never discloses more than necessary, the details they did release sparked widespread panic, public outrage, and one of the most coordinated interstate manhunts in modern investigative history. This is the story of a predator who evaded capture for years, the investigators who refused to let the case go cold, and the long road that led him to the FBI's radar, and eventually onto the Most Wanted list, a pattern that could no longer be ignored. When the first attacks occurred, they were treated as isolated, tragic events, horrific but disconnected. Different cities, different states, different circumstances. In each case, the victims were women between the ages of 20 and 40. Some were attacked in their homes, others were assaulted in parking garages, jogging trails, or late at night while returning from work. Local police departments treated each case individually, handling the investigative process within their jurisdictions. But as months turned into years, a pattern emerged, one so distinct that it could not be overlooked once it was finally recognized. The attacker, who would later be known publicly only by an FBI-assigned alias, the Nightbound Fugitive, had a modus operandi that was chilling in its consistency. He targeted locations with poor surveillance coverage, often areas where victims felt safe or familiar. He planned meticulously, leaving almost no forensic evidence behind. When DNA was recovered, it was partial, insufficient on its own, but enough to confirm that multiple attacks were linked. Yet despite the clear pattern, the attacker remained a ghost. He moved across state lines with ease, vanishing after each assault and resurfacing months later, hundreds of miles away. Investigators realized they were no longer dealing with a local predator. This was a mobile, calculating offender who understood law enforcement's blind spots. For years, he slipped through the cracks. The break in the case. The turning point came when Detective Valerie Henson, an investigator from a small Georgia precinct, refused to let an unusual detail in one of her cases go overlooked. An offhand comment made by the victim before she lost consciousness. The attacker had spoken to her, not in rage, not in panic, but calmly. He said almost casually, "You won't remember any of this." It was an unnerving detail. Many attackers avoid speaking at all, knowing it increases the risk of being recognized. But this one was different. He seemed confident the victims wouldn't be able to recall his voice clearly, perhaps due to adrenaline, trauma, or the care he took to alter his tone. That statement set him apart. When Detective Henson raised this detail during a regional task force meeting, agents from another state instantly recognized the line. A victim in Oklahoma had reported the exact same words. Two victims, thousands of miles apart, exactly the same phrase, delivered the same way. This was the moment investigators realized they were sharing a single predator. A multi-state task force was quickly formed. The FBI became officially involved within weeks. Profiling the attacker. FBI profilers noted that the attacker displayed traits commonly associated with organized offenders. He planned extensively. He chose low surveillance locations and appeared to study victims' routines. He adapted quickly. New safety measures in one area would simply push him into another region. He exhibited high confidence. His willingness to speak to victims, however briefly, suggested a belief that he could not be caught. He knew forensic procedures. DNA traces were minimal, and investigators suspected he wore gloves, avoided hair shedding, and took precautions with clothing. The attacker likely had some formal or informal knowledge of investigative practices. He might have held a job that required travel, or he could have lived a transient lifestyle. But the most unsettling observation from the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit was this. He was escalating. The intervals between attacks were shrinking. His methods were becoming bolder. His movements were becoming more predictable. not because he was slipping, but because his impulses were growing stronger. Left unchecked, profilers believed it was only a matter of time before attacks escalated to homicide. This fear pushed the FBI to take the unprecedented step of placing him on the most wanted list, even before identifying him by name. His alias, Nightbound Fugitive, was released to the public along with a composite sketch. It worked, but not in the way investigators expected. Public outcry and fear. The release of the sketch ignited a firestorm of public concern. News outlets ran headlines describing a cross-country predator. Communities organized self-defense workshops, and social media feeds filled with posts urging women to avoid walking alone at night. But the fear also produced an unexpected complication. With such widespread media attention, false tips poured in by the thousands. Every man who vaguely resembled the composite sketch became a potential suspect. A simple grocery store sighting could shut down an entire neighborhood. Even so, investigators combed through every lead. Some tips helped refine the behavioral profile. Others ruled out suspects. And though progress seemed slow, every small detail added to the growing picture. The attacker, however, didn't stop. 3 more incidents occurred within 6 months of the sketch's release, each one closer to major cities and in increasingly bold circumstances. The FBI now believed he was actively taunting them. A digital footprint emerges. Investigators eventually discovered their break in a place few expected: an overlooked public transportation camera in Colorado. Though the footage was grainy, a man resembling the composite sketch could be seen boarding a bus minutes after one attack. He was wearing a hoodie pulled low and gloves, but his gait was distinct. Forensic video analysts compared the footage to earlier, grainy security clips from other states. Subtle similarities emerged: posture, walking speed, dominant foot placement, even the tilt of his shoulders. Individually, none of these details would hold up in court. Together, they were compelling enough to guide the manhunt. The FBI concluded that the attacker used public transit more often than previously thought. Perhaps he lived without a permanent residence. Perhaps he avoided traceable vehicles to prevent leaving behind license plate records. The manhunt intensified. The close call. One of the most chilling near captures occurred in New Mexico, when a victim managed to break free and alert police almost immediately. Officers responded within minutes. For the first time in years, the attacker was nearly cornered. Police spotted a man matching the description running across a darkened parking lot toward an alleyway. But because he wore a mask and gloves, standard for him, no visible identifying features were captured. By the time officers reached the alley, he was gone. A discarded jacket was found, but lab tests found nothing usable. The fabric had been washed repeatedly, possibly with chemical agents. It was a reminder that although the FBI was getting closer, the attacker was still several steps ahead. FBI adds him to the most wanted list. In an emergency briefing, FBI officials made a critical decision. The attacker was now to be elevated to one of the 10 most wanted fugitives. The announcement expanded reward money, opened federal funding for the manhunt, and granted investigators access to additional digital forensics capabilities. More importantly, it pushed the attacker's sketch, alias, and behavioral profile onto national broadcasts. Posters appeared in post offices, gas stations, train stations, airports, rest stops, and bus depots across the country. The FBI hotline saw a dramatic increase in call volume. Tips came from every direction, some credible, some fabricated, some impossible. But 2 stood out. The first came from a woman in Arizona who claimed she had seen a man resembling the composite sketch sitting alone at a remote truck stop diner, staring intently at a wall-mounted TV airing coverage of the FBI announcement. He left abruptly. The second came from a bus driver in Nevada who remembered a passenger who seemed nervous when authorities conducted a routine ticket check. The man had exited 2 stops early. Both sightings placed the attacker in the Southwest. The beginning of the end. With these new leads, investigators concentrated their efforts on the border of Arizona and Nevada, a region with numerous abandoned buildings, transient communities, and highways that allowed easy travel. Agents began canvassing shelters, interviewing bus and taxi drivers, and reviewing local surveillance tapes. Their perseverance paid off. A security camera behind a convenience store captured a man with an eerily familiar gait walking into the desert with a large duffel bag. He glanced over his shoulder twice before disappearing behind an outcropping of rocks. Authorities followed the dirt trail and discovered a makeshift campsite hidden between boulders. Inside, they found food wrappers, clothing, and a small notebook containing only fragments of writing. Short phrases, disconnected thoughts, and what appeared to be lists of locations. It wasn't enough to identify him, but it confirmed one thing: they were close. Why this case still haunts investigators. Even after the intense manhunt, the case remains one of the FBI's most haunting examples of an offender who nearly outsmarted the system. The attacker's ability to cross state lines undetected, his understanding of investigative procedures, and his careful control over forensic evidence made him one of the most sophisticated violent offenders in modern criminal history. The FBI's Most Wanted list was designed for exactly this type of criminal. In this case, it served its purpose: unifying law enforcement, alerting the public, and elevating a dangerous predator into the national spotlight where anonymity is no longer a shield. But even today, investigators often reference this case in training sessions, emphasizing the importance of interagency communication, early pattern recognition, and public cooperation. When a predator is mobile, calculated, and driven, the line between a case solved and a case gone cold can be razor thin. Cases like the Nightbound Fugitive remind us that the FBI's Most Wanted list serves as more than a bulletin board of dangerous criminals. It's a warning, a call to stay vigilant, to pay attention, and to trust that justice can prevail even when the path is long and fraught with obstacles. And while the attacker's ultimate capture is a testament to steadfast investigative work, it is also a sobering reminder of how much damage one determined individual can inflict before the system catches up. If you want more deep dive true crime breakdowns like this one, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling me which case you want covered next.